Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live sesh. Come hang out with us in the theater in Terravilla North. There is a little bit of an energy booster in the room with us. And if you want to ask any questions during this AMA, you have to do so on YouTube. So find the link to the YouTube live stream and throw them all in the live chat and keep it farmer friendly. And let me bring up Luke.
Hello, everybody. I'm making my way to the theater right now in game. Let's bring that up really quickly.
We have a friend with us on stage because
Yeah, wait, who is that?
it is Crypto Maniac on Discord, or better known as Sophie's fan, I guess. I removed the walls because someone had requested I do so, and then I didn't put them back before a
well,
rat.
look at you.
So
No, you're famous. At least you're shouting out Sophia. I'm Sophia's fan too. She's great.
yeah. So I love this. Love the energy. What's up, fam? Farm fam. How's everyone doing on this lovely Wednesday afternoon? I'm good. I'm excited. I'm full of energy to the point of making me really anxious because there's so much going on, but it's such a good thing. So it's like a good energy, it's an excitement. How about you, Luke?
Oh no, I feel really good about the next stages. It was stressful for the summer. Just figuring out our long-term plans, how we stay in the game for the long term now. Now we get to take a step to breathe, make sure that we're here for the long run, and really set up the next stages of what Pixels is. So I guess I see some questions in the chat right now, which are interesting, and I think I can kind of address them from the high level of what we're thinking about in terms of next steps in the future, the things that we're working on, and the changes that we're going to be making in the future as well too. So I have a deck prepared. Let me just make sure I removed all leaks and alpha from it. I think so.
While you do that, I can address this question because I think it kind of ties in you trying to take away things last minute from a slide deck. No, for those who've been around, we've been doing these every week for a year and a half, and they're just kind of like second nature at this point. And it's never the exact same time because we're always trying to move between tasks and move to the AMA and get everything in order. And Luke's on a call and I'm on a call and we're, it's a little bit chaotic. I'm not gonna lie to you. So no, sometimes we listen to it twice because, Luke's in the shower. So sometimes we listen to half of it because we're both here, ready to go. Anyways, it's chaotic is all I'm going to say, but we're here with you every week. We love it. So I'm sorry it's not more structured, but we're real. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's the shower thing is funny. In my past life, I used to be kind of a bum. If you guys don't know me on a personal level, all the energy I direct into Pixels, I used to direct into outdoor activity like rock climbing and stuff like that. So, I try to clean myself up for the AMAs, but really at heart, I am a bum. So last second showering sometimes just to look a bit more presentable in front of the streams here. But I guess there are a few things I just want to kind of dig into here. So Sakura WKR has some really good questions that they're asking. And this is exactly the things that we're trying to address in the future of the project, and we see the same stuff too. I think this is maybe not framed in the most nice way, but there has been a lot that we've done over the last year, and there also are some serious issues that the community is bringing up, which we hear, we see, and we're feeling the same way too. So Sakura is saying it's sad to see the project slipping into despondency. Bit harsh, because we still have a pretty decent set of metrics when it comes to retention, DAU engagement, and that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at. But basically, Sakura is getting at the point of this core game loop that we have. It's kind of dragging on a bit, or we haven't really released any new additions to the gameplay as well too. So he's saying, or he or she is saying, in a scheme, plant, collect, sell, so on endlessly, has already bothered even the most dedicated players. This can be judged by chat and online players. There's nothing that distinguishes a high-level player from a beginner. Yeah, just a lot of feedback on current game mechanics and game loop. And I actually don't disagree with basically any of this. I would phrase it a bit differently, and I would also encourage you to kind of look at context and what we've been building, the things that we're working towards. But I do agree, there is a lack of long-term gameplay loops and long-term player progression, and that is a core weakness in the game right now. And it's actually something that we're actively aware of, and we want to address in the next little bit. We're actually looking to bring on new game design talent that will help us address this. And I think this is kind of one of the things that we're focusing on as the next like 6 to 12 months of Pixels. It might take a bit of time for us to actually implement these features, but what we're trying to bring on in terms of talent onto the team now is somebody who's kind of built free-to-play game experiences like this before. Where we've kind of ended up at is, most of the problems that we see in Web3 gaming actually are not unique Web3 gaming issues. And most of these issues that we see in Web3 gaming, or at least in our game, are really just free-to-play game design issues. So we are trying to bring on senior talent and expertise who have built game mechanics like this before, and who can just kind of bring in that senior leadership and experience of building out this long-term player progression, long-term core loops that engage players. The area that we're seeing the most impact in this weakness right now is with Berry, where you guys have been collecting Berry, you guys have been using it, spending it in the game, but we really do need more use cases in the long tail retention of Berry. And the other way that we see this as well too is we're seeing this in the retention of our game. So if you look at our retention metrics, our day 1 retention is sitting at like 38% right now. Our day 7's at like 20%, and our day 28 retention is at 4.2%. If you benchmark this according to Web2 games, we're in a decent spot. And the interesting stuff is when we start to add Web3 incentives, that retention goes way up. So when we're looking at retention for promotions that we did like Tastemakers, that day 28 retention was like 30 to 40%, which is nuts. So there's clear signs that there are some things that we can do in the short to medium term that will boost that, and maybe even the long term too. When we have reward pools like Pixels, when we have reward pools basically around that token. So we're super excited to see when we finally get this token out, how that increases long tail retention, especially when we have incentives like Pixel rewards for long term engagement, all of that kind of stuff. But it also needs to be supported by better gameplay as well too. So Web3 is really interesting because it creates a new model where you can actually boost these end tail metrics. But what we've been trying to focus on in the short term is boosting these metrics through games through gameplay essentially too. So it has to be a combination of the two. And right now we are seeing weaknesses in the gameplay. So yeah, we're putting a large emphasis on basically improving gameplay over the next year. We need to bring in a bit more experience in the team to actually address this problem. So you're probably going to see a couple months lag time in the actual implementation of long tail retention features and game mechanics that just feel like better player progression, all of that as well too. But we're actively hiring for this position right now. Honestly, if you guys know anybody who has experience, we're interviewing people right now for this role for senior game design position. I'm interviewing people from Supercell, from EA, companies like that, and that's the kind of talent and experience that we're bringing. We're looking for like top tier game design experience, and what's great is it's a much different situation than it was hiring for this position a year and a half ago. Our team has done an amazing job getting us here. We have a really solid base. We have a really great core product. Now we need to bring in more, experience in this side of things. So, this lovable game that you guys have, like we could have only done it with the team that we have right now. It's got heart, it's got soul, it has something there. Now, essentially what we're trying to figure out is how do we level us up to the next level of experience, really, really benchmark on the higher end of Web2 games when it comes to gameplay, player progression, things that you can do in the game. So yeah, if you guys can refer us anybody who has experience in this position, I'm working with recruiters right now. Typically they make like 20% of 20% of like base salary. So, we're willing to offer like a decent referral bonus if anybody knows somebody who is, looking for a new position in this space. And the advantages of working at Pixels is, we have community, we have player base, we're kind of pushing the edge, we have funding, runway, all of that kind of stuff too. So it's a pretty unique opportunity. We're attracting much better talent than maybe we previously stated. We also know what we need a bit more as well too. So yeah, core gameplay and all these loops, we agree it's a weakness right now, but that doesn't mean we can't fix it. And we're actively working on that too. So yeah, do not disagree. Like all of you guys have great opinions and thoughts on this. And yeah, this is something that we're actively addressing, the core gameplay loops. But then there's also, other things that we're thinking about as well too. Like the thing that we're kind of trying to focus on for the next year is really figuring out what our core niche is, whether that be UGC whether that be focusing more on core gameplay loops and just really going hard on that. We've been running a bunch of experiments. So one of the next experiments that we're working on is going to kind of be involving some of this stuff as well too. And we leaked it a lot in the last AMA, kind of telling you our plans. But I think maybe we can just walk you through like what exactly we have planned for the next 2 to 3 months, what you can expect, and kind of our thought process behind this. So it's funny because I've been prepping a deck to send to partners, people to work with us as well too. I might as well just share this with you all because I don't really see the harm in it. So let me pull that up. I'm just so scared I'm gonna share the wrong screen with the sensitive information. Okay, everybody, don't screenshot until we confirm. Okay, yeah, let's just go here. Okay, so everybody knows we have 2 really large assets coming up. Let's move that. And yeah, we have a really big thing around pets coming up. So we have pets. We've been working on this for a long time. We've had them ready to release for a couple months now, and we were putting them off for a little bit. But pets are going to be some new interesting gameplay that we can bring into the short term. I'm not going to lie, they're not going to be a huge gameplay upgrade, but they're interesting stuff there. And this is something that we plan to expand on potentially in the future. Once we have a new game designer coming in to like kind of help lead that direction, we'll get to more long-term clarity and vision on what exactly that gameplay looks like and how we incorporate them. But some of the ideas that we have in the long term are things like combat or competitive gameplay through these pets. Really early on, the core game loop is just going to be a very simple happiness loop. They'll work in the game, they'll follow you around in the game, and there's some fun stuff that we can do with them. So yeah, you can work on your pet to improve some stats. They actually work in the game when we mint them as well too. And yeah, there's just some fun stuff around that. These pets are also dynamic NFTs. They start as capsules. They have to be grown in these growth labs, and they have integration with the Berry core loop as well too. So we're planning on minting the pets in Pixel, but also they're going to require Berry to actually grow and to fully hatch and have a tie into there. So we do expect to see some more demand for Berry assets when we release these as well too. And yeah, the whole minting process, we're trying to do something kind of unique actually. So we want to create long-term and recurring demand for the Pixel token. And we are taking a lot of inspiration from projects who have done really well with recurring demand in the Web3 space. NounsDAO is amazing. I think NounsDAO is probably the only Web3 project that's completely Web3 native that I've seen have a recurring revenue model. And we kind of want to view pets in the same way as well too. So the plan is, once pets are fully live, we'll be doing monthly mints of them, and each pet has a different type. So this one's kind of like a cow type, a bird type, a pig type. They all have types. We're going to be releasing different types every single month. Those will be the only runs of those types that we'll release. So there's going to be trait rarity with the pet types. And there's also some interesting mechanics that we can do, like breeding, where you combine 2 pets into one type of pet, where you actually might see long-term trait rarity increasing as pets are combined into different combinations. So there's some cool stuff there that we can do. But we want to enable a little bit of growth earlier on. So what we've decided to do is we're going to release 100 pets early. And we're actually going to be running a 28-day promotion around these pets. It might be a little bit longer than 28 days. We're still deciding timelines, all of that kind of stuff. But the idea is, we're going to be running our own, event over the course of, however long we do it. It's going to be anywhere from like 4 to 6 weeks, it looks like. And you guys are going to get chances to earn 100 Genesis pets purely through gameplay. We're not going to be doing like a paid mint for them. You just have to play the game, and you'll have an equal chance to earn them every single day. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be carnival themed, and we'll leak more and more of this soon, and we'll start heavily marketing this soon. We basically have lined up a bunch of partners to help us do all the promotion around this, and we're super excited about what this potentially unlocks. But the idea is, we have a whole carnival theme with new types of gameplay, and we're experimenting with a couple of different things. So one thing that we want to experiment with is, these new types of mini games that we're releasing. So the idea is, is this type of gameplay that's going to increase retention and increase like consistent daily gameplay into the game? Can we create small, like quick experiences that get people engaged for like a couple minutes a day? And then what this also tests too is this test like the possibility of user generated content as well. Like, are these types of mini games able to engage users? Are these types of mini games able to like get people coming back? Because these are actually relatively simple for us to build and actually potentially easy for you guys to build as well too, compared to something like Newsider or Tastemakers, which is just much more complicated when it comes to balance, when it comes to economy, all of that. Like, this might be a more accessible form of UGC that we can eventually offer to our users to build around. And this is like something that's interesting. So if we see really promising engagement, retention, this might be a direction that we go in with UGC. And when I say UGC, I think we released our first UGC feature of introducing pixel art and decorations, right? What we think about UGC in the long term, and what's actually the interesting part to us, is not decorations. It's, can communities build their own experiences inside of our ecosystem that engage their communities? So it's more deeper types of gameplay. We used to do virtual spaces, and what we found is when we let people build out virtual spaces, they didn't get much use. We would see, in the best case scenario, people would use these virtual spaces for about an hour a week on a scheduled cadence, and it was more like once a quarter. So, like a Subway Rats coming in and hosting like an event every single month, that's great. That's not really doing much for the ecosystem though. What we really want is people to be creating experiences that get them coming back every single day. So these mini games are a potential way to do that we're experimenting with. And then also this carnival experience, it also gets you guys to like see what the pets look like. I think what we're planning on is we're actually going to be doing the pets live and minted on chain. So, they'll be able to you'll actually have the full experience if you earn a pet through this carnival experience, is what we're thinking. So the idea is you'll play these mini games, you'll earn these tickets, and you'll be able to get loot boxes. And over the course of this promotion, these loot boxes will actually allow you to mint an on-chain pet for free if you win these loot boxes, and if you get lucky enough in the loot boxes. There will be other rewards too, but pets will be the main draw. The other thing that we get to experiment with this is we get to see where the secondary price of pets lies. That's interesting to us. And then we also get to see what that user acquisition cost looks like too, because since these pets will have a secondary value, we'll get a good feel of what these reward pools look like when it comes to increasing our long tail retention. And we'll get a good feel of like types of rewards and like how much rewards we'll need to distribute in the long run when it comes to having that retention above that 4% level, getting more to like the 10-20% level when we're talking about day 28 retention. So a bit into our heads of what we're thinking there. And then the other interesting thing that we get to do here too is, we're looking for Web3 IP collabs of these mini games, and we want to basically brand them. So we'll be kind of running promotions with other Web3 IP during the course of this carnival, seeing if that actually is bringing in significant community draw from external communities into our ecosystem. So that's going to be testing that UGC hypothesis as well too. So yeah, we have like a rough timeline. I think our go-to ship date for this carnival is mid-August. We're shooting internally for August 14th, but there might be some things with these question marks that move it back. These are just basically announcements that we want to be announcing, and there's a few partnerships we're working with that potentially will bring in a very large draw. And it might be dependent on some of these, but when we launch this, we have a lot ready. We have several different types of communities that we're working with. We have several like potentially huge collaborations that we're doing, or like very big mix-ups that we're doing, that we expect to bring in new engagement, new users, and new personas into the ecosystem that have never experienced pixels before. And this is a great way to draw them in. So the intention behind this carnival too is to create like a new type of gameplay that isn't exactly the same reward structure as these leaderboards that we've done before too. Like, we want people to have an equal chance if you're starting day 1 versus day 28 of getting a pet, essentially. And we want to create the reward structure that way. So if you can't log in every single day to play, that's fine. But the more that you log in every day, then you're going to have a better chance of getting one of these really rare pets. So we're super excited about that. And then the idea is we are kind of trying to use this as a boosted engagement to test these core hypotheses that we have, and see if this is what we need to get to the next stage of things as well too. So kind of what we're thinking. We have a lot here. We're super excited about this. We're testing some core hypotheses with this. And this is also kind of a plan to get some engagement in the short term as well too, and really test their long-term engagement strategy. So I think that's all I have on this slide deck. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys a peek into this, on what we're thinking, the plans that we have. It's gonna be really fun when we do it. So I know that all of you guys will have a great time doing this. The pets are huge. Deciding to release these earlier and on chain. So that's gonna be the big thing too. We're gonna have these pets available on chain. They're gonna be tradable. They'll go into a wallet. They won't go into your in-game inventory. So that's different too. How these pets will work is, they're going to work more like our farmland, than they will like the in-game items essentially. So they'll only live in wallets. They won't live in your in-game inventory.
Okay. I'm so excited that that's out. We're working so hard. When I've hopped on here the last like 2-3 weeks and said, oh my gosh, it's so busy, we're working so hard, I wish I could share, it's about the carnival. So I'm so excited that that's out. You guys know I can slowly leak some art here and there, and it'll be really, it's really exciting. I'm so excited for this to come out. Okay, another thing that will be coming out very shortly, like similar timing, I'm like, drum roll, are you ready? Is merch. Finally, merch is coming out. I can't even explain how excited I am for you guys. So, if you've been around, you've probably heard my spiel 1,000 times now, and I'll probably do it again next week. But basically, super, super high quality black hoodies. They come in 2 different colorways with just the Pixels logo. We wanted to launch our first merch collection with just something very simple, very wearable, very high quality, and at the lowest price possible. We've worked really hard to lower the prices as much as we possibly can. We are making 0 profit on this. We might even lose a bit of money on this, which is okay with us because it's just a community thing, and we want you guys to be included at the most reasonable price possible. With that, we are doing it a little bit differently. It's going to happen on a pre-order kind of structure. So the store is only going to be open for 1 week. So you have to order within that 1 week if you would like to order a hoodie. And then it's going to close, and then we're going to go into production, and then it'll ship. So there's going to be several weeks between the time that you place your order and by the time you receive it, especially dependent on shipping times, of course. But the reason for that is that it limits costs significantly. And then also the sustainability aspect. We're not wasting any material. Nothing goes to waste. We're making exactly the amount that we need to. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm not kidding, guys. This is the nicest hoodie I've ever owned. And for the price, it's honestly a steal. Initially, the person we were working with said that they sell these hoodies for $150 US, and we said absolutely not. So they will be sold for $65 US, which for the quality and all of that is, I'm blown away that we were able to get it down to $65. I have purchased hoodies for a lot more that are a lot worse quality.
Yeah, this will probably be the nicest, slickest.
Yeah. So I'm just so happy that we were able to get it down to, that's basically the amount that you would pay. From what I've seen at a lot of other merch drops that are using like a print on demand. We tried print on demand. It's garbage, to put it bluntly, garbage quality. And I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to sell something that wasn't something you didn't want to wear, something you weren't proud to wear or feel good wearing, right? So anyways, very thick embroidered Pixels, black and white. And then we have the Pixels in color embroidered, as you can see. They're black, really, really thick. And then the inside, if you've ever felt a high quality kind of sweatshirt material, when you first get it, it's a little rigid. It's not like that fluffy material, because that fluffy material almost immediately, like you wash it twice and it's dead, right? This higher quality material, basically it feels a little rigid and rough when you first get it. And then the more you wear it and the more you wash it, it gets softer and softer. So it's really funny because we went through a few iterations of this hoodie, and I now have about 5 versions of it in my closet. And the oldest one I have is so soft and just like lovely. And then the one that I wear the least is a little bit more structured still. So they just get nicer and more comfortable with wear, which is incredible. And they stay thick, which as a Canadian, we love. But yeah, let's see if I can kind of show you what the material is like on the inside. So this one has been worn, probably washed like a dozen times now.
Yeah. This is like not a $15 to $25 hoodie. We could have done a hoodie that cheap. But this is just higher quality than like a $15 to $25 hoodie. Like this is the nicest hoodie I own, actually.
Yeah. And actually we couldn't do a $15 to $25 hoodie. If I'm being honest, we looked really hard into all of the different options, and the cheapest I could find would have been a print on demand style, and it would have probably costed around $50 US, and it's just garbage material. It just wasn't it. For the amount that we're projecting to be able to sell. There's lots of different things. We're not H&M, we're not Zara. We can't order like 2,000 of these hoodies. 2,000 is even small for those companies, right? So there's a lot of different factors that go into this. Quality was the number one thing that I cared about, and cost. And so this was the best balance we could find. And 65 is quite normal. I understand it's different depending on your country, culture, exchange rates, all of that kind of stuff. I'm Canadian. Buying stuff from the US sometimes can be a trip. But it is what it is. And we trust that we tried the best we can. And we will be doing a few giveaways as well, just to get it in the hands of some people that maybe can't afford it. But yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Now it's all wet and hoodie. Yeah. So very similar timing to the carnival. That's what I'm going to say, which is in the next few weeks. What methods of payment will you accept? Oh, shoot. No, okay, so not Barry. We're using Shopify. So I believe we're just doing the Shopify checkout system, which includes like Visa, MasterCard, all of your typical credit cards. I'm not sure if we're doing PayPal. I'll have to double check on that.
There might be a crypto plugin we can add. That would be interesting.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm waiting a long time for merch. I know Sophia's on our team, and I know she's been in my ear for a very long time about this. So very exciting. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, I need to like come off my excitement, but there you go, guys. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Pixels all day, all night merch. Maybe next year on that. Is kind of funny.
So when we first started designing this out, I was like, I want to do something fun and different. And for a long time, I was, if you guys have been in Discord and around for a while, I was thinking about doing Get Good, where it just said Get Good on it. But we decided that at least for the first time we do merch, we want it to be very inclusive. We want it to be something that everyone can wear out and about and be, comfortable in, and understand it. Like there's a lot of inside jokes on our Discord specific community, and I'm in there a lot, and so I'm a part of it. And so things, like Get Good, or what was the one they just said, all day, all night, or what's the most recent one?
I think Pixels is really funny.
Pixel. Yeah, stuff like that. They would be really, really fun, but they wouldn't be as like not everyone would understand them, and so not everyone would want it. So there's a lot of reasons we went with like the very, very basic, just Pixels for now. And then, yeah. All right, cool. Let's move on here. Got a few other questions we've gotten here. Okay.
Lots of questions today, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, we already answered that one. Mini games coming with the carnival. So excited.
Good timing to ask that.
I want to ask when the date of meet and greet Pixels event. So Luke and I have actually, it's really interesting. We haven't planned like a Pixels official meet and greet. I'll start by saying we've never done that. But we've gone to a lot of conferences, a lot of tech meetups, events all around, mostly the United States, I will say.
Yeah, I was debating if I should post.
Tell everyone, but very rarely does anyone show out. So
yeah, I was debating if I should post when I was in Japan. I went to an Axie meetup in Japan, which is fun. Yeah, they had like a pretty good community show up there. So I mean, yeah, if you guys are in any country where there's a crypto event happening, yeah, we're interested in hosting something in the future. I've been very always been very hesitant to throw like large events. Like we're not in Azuki, we're not like a Bored Ape, we're not hosting a festival. But the meet and greets where it's like community oriented, more interested in that kind of stuff. Like we were at NFT NYC. That would have been a large waste of money to host an event there, in my opinion. And I saw NFT projects spend a quarter of their runway hosting events at NFT NYC in the bull run. They raise $1 million. They host like a $250,000 event. Now they're out of money. That's not us. That's not our style, really. So we're not going to do the flashy stuff. We're going to be, more grassroots, community oriented. Interested in that.
There you go. You're even doing a pun. You don't even know it. Yeah, and like for instance, when we were in San Francisco several months ago, we were able to meet Ross, which was awesome, and a few others. So we always let people know, oh, like Pixel's team gonna be here. And I remember like ETH Denver, we were still small back then. And a couple people came and like said hi to us in a coffee shop that we were sitting in, and we like gave them merch. So cute.
Just a couple weeks after Mint, which was fun. That might have been the time to do it, but yeah, we'll do that again soon. I think next big Web3.
Where would you guys want one? I think, like where in the world would we want that?
Yeah, we might be a token 2049, some stuff like that. Especially as we get closer to TGE. I'll start going to more of those. So if you're in Asia, let us know. Or if you are in any of the US events as well too. Like Gamescom is pretty soon actually, but.
Okay. All right. Back to these questions. Okay. What's up with the 2.5% deposit / withdrawal fee for Berry?
Yeah, so we're just looking for more ways to burn Berry actually for this one. There is an advantage to us doing this as well too. So if you guys know, we pay for all of your gas for transactions, and this is actually kind of a high cost for us when it comes to ETH tokens. So for Pepe, for ApeCoin, if we integrate that, it's probably too significant for us to eat ETH transactions and pay for those on our own. So when we're adding more tokens on the ETH network, it's nice for us to cover transaction fees through the token essentially. But with Berry, we just also added it as like a burn mechanism essentially. Basically, anytime that we charge you Berry in game, like those are going to wallets where we don't touch them, we probably just burn them. So those are always the most effective vectors to burn something in when you're like not attacking, but when you're like moving funds from one thing to another. And this is a similar UX to like basically most Web3 protocols, where if you're on Uniswap, you pay a transaction fee there. If you're on like bridging to like Ronin, you pay a transaction fee. If you guys think this is too steep, let us know, but it's just something that we're experimenting with. Again, it's like really just econ health in mind. And that's what we're trying to figure out. And then with the deposits for like the ETH tokens, it is a cost thing where it's like, $4 to $5 in gas is probably too much to cover on our end for every single user. Especially if you only want to spend like a tiny amount of ape in the game, then we have to really think about that. And we are charging that native token instead of charging like a secondary token. That was a decision that we made.
All right. Can you change the interior of the VIP sauna because we're sitting in the school toilet? So I think it's Soroka actually. A lot of really great questions today. I pulled this up specifically to say that maybe something is happening. It will still be a pool, but something is happening. There you go. Okay. What's the use of levels on land?
Yeah, so that's one of those game design experiments that we ran, and it's like a good idea in practice, but we just weren't able to apply it very well, truthfully. So you guys see that there's levels on land, and we want to add more utility around them, and I'm glad we have them in the game right now. But I think we need to come up with better, solutions around that. And it's funny because we get like feedback in both directions on this, where it's like, oh, some players are like, this is going to make the whales of the game too powerful, and no one would ever go to the other lands. And then people are like, oh, we need more progression. So yeah, this is one of those kinds of decisions when we bring in somebody who, just has a bit more experience in this area. Like these are decisions that it's like, they've seen this problem 100 times before. We're going to give them some trust in figuring out this kind of stuff.
Okay, I just saw a few questions. Back to merch. So, what sizes will be available? Great question. So, they are unisex sizes, which generally means men's. But I believe the sizes we have available are extra small to extra large, but they are an oversized fit. So, this is, I know it's hard because you guys don't know my sizing, but I am 5'8", 173 centimeters. And I wear the medium because I like it kind of bigger. And they are already a bit of an oversized fit. So like the men's XL might actually fit like an XXL more snug. But yeah, so they are unisex, extra small to extra large, oversized, kind of like a modern fit. And then someone else asked if they could see the inner tailoring, wanted to see how smooth, high quality seams are. So here, so there's no drawstring. I'm going to start with just like a more modern style. And you can see here, this is a bit of an external seam, but you can see it's pretty good. And then if we get kind of into it, this is the neckline. And there will be a tag here. This is a sample. Once again, I got all the samples, right? So you can see the seam there. Pretty good. And then this is a bit more of a rough seam, obviously, because it doesn't need to be at this point. This is where the hoodie meets. And where's the other one I just saw? Yeah, I think that's probably good. Get a good idea. This is the bottom with like cat hair. So yeah. Like I said, I'm not a seamstress, but they're extremely high quality. Highest quality hoodie I've ever owned. So all right. How can we refer a designer?
Oh, do I want to send my email? I mean, it's not that hard to figure out my email, I guess.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Just if you have someone, just ping us on Discord, ping the community team on Discord, and we'll get the information.
No, email hello@pixels.online.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Oh, sorry. Write it again. Email hello@pixels.online. Okay. This is funny. We should do a rearranged Terravilla day, or everyone use a mover tool, move items around Terravilla. Do you know how ridiculous that would get? It would just be an absolute mess. If you were here when we did, I think it was our first energy party, the Valentine's Day party back in February, Luke went nuts and just started putting things everywhere. That's what it will look like. So, all right. Okay, back to some questions we have here. Any news on Pixel?
Yeah, so this is kind of one, we don't want to rush the Pixel release. So again, we're very strong proponents of having a great launch versus an okay launch. And if we had launched a month ago, it would have been an okay launch. We're really shooting for like we're shooting for a great, amazing launch. And it's just in everybody's best interest that we do that. Again, the team has the most at stake with the Pixel token, more than anybody who is in the play to airdrop allocation. Like this is, our long-term plan for building up consistent revenue streams, for all the things we want to do in terms of growth. Like we care a lot about the Pixel token. And, we are just trying to make sure that we have the best outcome for all stakeholders involved. So that means making sure that we have, the right engagement, the right metrics, and the right, firepower behind the launch. So we're working on it. This is like partly why we're doing the carnival stuff. We want to boost engagement. We want to boost retention. And we want to get people excited about the next stages, pets, Pixel, all that kind of stuff. So believe me, the team is thinking about this every single day. If it makes you feel better, start tagging me more again and with the One Pixel on Twitter, but we're working on it. I really promise you. Like, obviously we wanted that too. There's no reason for us to not do it. Like if we wanted to rug all the people, we would release it earlier and just check out. But like it'd be a much easier cash grab if we just did it earlier. Saw Pixel die because we didn't do it in the right way. We didn't do it with the right people. That's the easiest route for us. Instead, we're taking the hard route. We're eating some crap, while you guys are just being a bit impatient, and it's the thing that we have to do in the short term to have the best long-term outcome for all stakeholders.
Okay. Will landowners have a pool of the 100 pets, or will there be any advantages to being a landowner in getting tickets? I guess this is in referral to the carnival.
Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to give aside like separate like ticket opportunities. So you're going to earn tickets through all of these games, and these tickets will allow you to purchase these loot boxes. So I want us to decide like we'll probably put it in the landowners lounge potentially. Like another way to get tickets only available to landowners, and also VIP as well too. Like those are two benefits that we can provide to both of those people, and it makes sense, right? Like we want our most loyal users to get pets. But we also obviously want to balance the growth side of things too. And this is kind of how we're approaching pixel distribution in the long term as well too. Like we'll set aside pools for landowners, for VIPs, and for free to play players to earn pixel. And this is kind of a way to experiment with that as well too.
All right, we already answered a lot of these questions here.
What we need to get pets. So yeah, you won't need anything beforehand. We want to make it accessible to new users. So we'll probably put like some kind of requirement in front of earning tickets. Like this is one thing. This is in relation to, here, let me pull this up. I saw a good question. It was starred about botting as well too. So it's a balance. So free to play is interesting in Web3 especially. There's a balance between allowing anybody to come in and earn the ecosystem, and also making sure that you don't let anybody come into the ecosystem. Because if you let the requirements be too loose, then you'll start having people spin up bot accounts, and obviously there's bad effects when it comes to the economy, when it comes to like real users getting access to the game mechanics that we want them to get access to. Bots and cyber attackers, they ruin game economy. They make it less fun for everybody too. So we're trying to find a balance between not having people have to KYC, not having to have people get VIP or LAN to access some of these things, then also making like game mechanics really accessible to new players as well too. So one thing that we've been thinking about a lot is like there's like pseudo KYC that we can do, things like connecting Twitter, things like connecting a phone number where it's not it's like semi-anonymous, or other things like that we can increase earnings or like increase chances from. But with pets, all you'll have to do is play these mini games. You'll earn tickets. You only have to do them a couple times. Like you only have to play like once a day if you really want, and you'll have a chance at earning pets. Like the idea is not to have you grind for hours and hours and hours every single day for the month. Like we want it to be like a 15 to 20-minute engagement, optional every single day if you want to earn the pets. So that's what we're thinking with that. But then, yeah, we might do things like requiring you to like connect Twitter or things like that as well, just to like kind of cut back on bot issues. And this is the kind of stuff that we're about to add in for things like accessing marketplace, things for all of that kind of stuff too. We saw an exploit in the game this last week where bots were abusing the marketplace in order to, dump berry. They were getting around some of the trading requirements, all of that as well too. We paused withdrawal while we wanted to like address this issue. We have an update that should have released today that should fix some of this stuff. And then we have like longer term plans in like the next week or so as well of implementing tiny things like that, like either requiring a phone number connection or Twitter auth or VIP in order to access marketplace too. So we have like several different options. If you don't want a KYC, even though Twitter is not really KYC, then you have the option of buying VIP to access some things like that as well.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had $600 million?
Yeah, someone asked that. It's like, where did that even come from? I
actually just saw in Discord. I never know how to say this user's name. Canelio.
Yeah.
He said, "Bro, I made one joke and people think it's real." So maybe he tweeted something. I don't know.
Yeah, we did not lose. We never had. No.
I
We
like
never had $600 million.
I don't wish we lost it. I wish we had $600 million.
Yeah, imagine what we would be if we had that funding. We'd actually be making stuff.
Oh my gosh. All right. When is the carnival starting? In a few weeks. Stay tuned. Get ready. We'll be
for August 14th.
More.
Could move back depending on different partnerships that we unlock with it, but we're shooting for that date. It seems pretty solid. We'll have it ready. It's just like if we want to get like a bit more pre-engagement before then, or a particular partner that we're working with, wants a bit more time in order to like actually help us really boost it, we'll consider that as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Axie bridge hack was around 600 million, right? So maybe some relationship to that. I don't know. You guys are nuts. I wish we had that. You guys would all be getting free merch. Okay. All right. Two pets breed to make third or merge 2 to 1. I think they're kind of drawing from like Axie game vibes. Is a
No,
little
no, they're drawing from that breeding mechanics slide that we posted. So yeah, how we want to do breeding. Yeah, how we want to do breeding is combinations. And like the cool thing about these pets and how we've set them up is like all the body parts can be swapped. So we'll have an interesting mechanic like that in like the short to medium term of basically pet combination. So you'll turn 2 into 1, but they'll like combine traits from both of them.
Okay. Let's look here. Okay. Will there ever be the ability to book more land spots?
That's something that truthfully we'll probably have as like pixel utility early on, where you can spend like a bit of pixel to get more bookmark slots. Like those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about with the pixel token. Premium in-game upgrades that make life a bit better, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of stuff we're saving for pixel rather than berry.
Okay. When banned Midnight from buying up all the tiki spots. Have you seen his land?
No?
I just saw a screenshot of it and it's like just all hold on, let me figure out what land that is.
Yeah. So one thing that we're debating too is like,
so I was gonna message someone, but you can hear me. What land is that? It's crazy.
Might need a new game mechanic around decorations. Like I think there you can put unlimited decorations in the farm right now. That might be something that we want to rethink in the long run. Yeah,
this is a really good question. Am I the only one that doesn't understand why we need Pixel?
Yeah, so Pixel it's our plan is soft currency, hard currency model. Basically, every free-to-play game does this. Even games like RuneScape have an element of this too with bonds. Essentially, it's like a way for us to encourage ecosystem growth and for us to actually monetize too. Like at the end of the day, we need to monetize and we need to have sustainable revenue streams in order to actually build the best experience possible to really go down this Web3 ethos. The thing that excites us about the Web3 side of things is the growth potential. So you don't technically need a token to do it, but it's like the most fungible way to do it. Like we're experimenting with what Pixel can do with the pets during this 28-day promotion, where we're going to be releasing 100 pets as rewards to incentivize the behavior that we want, which is long tail retention, engagement, and daily active users increasing. The exciting thing to us about a token, and the Pixel token in particular, is what we can do with it in terms of growth, incentive design, and user acquisition. I like to view tokens as almost like subsidized CAC, where essentially what we do is we get a budget of this token that we get to distribute every single month on a linear vesting schedule. We have like an ecosystem reward pool set aside for ecosystem growth. And it's basically our budget to grow the ecosystem in really interesting ways, where instead of us selling this hard currency for US dollars, we're actively making a trade-off to instead use that hard currency as a Web3 token. And our bet is that we can actually use this token to grow the ecosystem in much more effective ways than essentially spending money that we earn from revenue and putting it right back into advertising and user acquisition that way. The other interesting thing about Web3 tokens too is because we get to make new tokens every single month and dilute the supply a little bit. Instead of us directly eating the cost of user acquisition, it's subsidized across the network of holders, which is a much more effective way for us to effectively put money into user acquisition. Essentially, Web3 is a really, really interesting way for for games to grow. It provides really interesting new benefits to users and to the gaming ecosystem. And it allows us to create like very interesting reward structures for our users too, that are much more effective when it comes to incentive design, growth, all of that kind of stuff. So that's the cool stuff about Web3. This is what I geek out. I really think that I am a firm believer that tokens are the most necessary part of Web3 gaming compared to NFTs even. Um, and that's what we've been working for. Like I fully bought into what Web3 can do for gaming companies, what it unlocks. And, I posted a tweet the other day. I'm not fully convinced that play to earn is dead. Um, I know we keep saying our game is, play and own, but I think there's going to be elements of that in our game in the long run. It's going to look very different than what people expect. Not every single player in the game is going to be able to earn, but there are interesting incentive structures that we can put into the game that, allow some users to reap rewards and benefits that they wouldn't be able to in Web2 gaming. So the expectations need to be set differently than a lot of play to earn gamers in the space have before. This game isn't going to be a game in the long run where literally anybody can come in it and earn a full-time living. That's not sustainable. But there are really interesting things that we can do when it comes to reward distribution, where it's like top players, they might actually be able to get some stake in earnings in the game, if they're contributing to the ecosystem the way that we see is really healthy. So that might be things like creating new content, referring new users, or it could just be like, you're a power user, you're super valuable to this ecosystem, you're playing an important part. Like we might create incentive structures for you to stay into the ecosystem as well. And it's interesting because you're seeing a lot of Web2 platforms starting to do in this model as well. Like, X is giving out payouts. Instagram Reels has increased their creator payouts. TikTok is increasing their creator payouts. Like creators play a huge benefit in ecosystems. And I think that's kind of the future of what, P2E looks like in the long run. So, I don't want to label us as a P2E game, but, I do think bringing elements of that in the long run is extremely interesting when it comes to ecosystem growth. And it's the kind of stuff that we're thinking about as well. And you need the token to do that.
Okay, and they just had a little follow-up comment here. I'm afraid of the Pixels release because it will cause a lot of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, you're probably not going to make millions off of it. I have to make that very clear. Probably. But I mean, yeah, we're pretty excited about the launch. Obviously, we are trying to have the best outcome possible. But I mean, yeah, also keep your keep your expectations in check as well too. We're a very promising Web3 project. We're a very promising gaming project. We have some of the most traction in the space. But the market is pretty cool right now, and it's not a bull market, so you have to understand that as well too. So I mean, yeah, if you're expecting a Lambo off of this, maybe decrease expectations. But obviously, we're trying our best, and we're gonna do whatever we can do. Can't guarantee anything. And again, if your expectation is insane, it's really not even up to us. It's up to the market. So you do have to understand that also. We don't get to decide price. We don't get to decide anything. That's not us. That's market forces. It's all of that. So keep your expectations in check. But obviously the team is trying their best to, have as good of a launch as we can.
Okay, let's look back at some questions that we marked along the way here. Oh yeah, we talked about this last week too. Can we expect to see our pixel allocation?
Yeah, so this is the stuff that we're debating right now too. Like our strategy is, we're gonna see what this attention gets us. If this unlocks the kind of TGE that we want sooner, then we'll go ahead with the TGE. If not, then we'll start to find ways that we can actually give you, potentially pixel off chain at first, let you spend it, do all of that kind of stuff as well. So think about that. And yeah, we're actively thinking about that too. Like we don't want to drag people out on this, and we want to get to the next stages as well too. But again, I'm pretty excited about the next stages of what we're up to. I'm feeling pretty optimistic myself. We're already in a really good spot when it comes to that. Now it's just kind of locking it in, getting on to the next steps.
Okay, and then whatever happened to fishing? I was really looking forward to that. Guys, you all made this up. You made this up. We didn't ever confirm fishing.
This is a personal thing on my end. I just hate fishing. Well, it's funny because I grew up as a RuneScape fisherman. I had level 90 fishing in RuneScape. I spent so many hours in the fishing guild or in Catherby, if you guys are familiar. But I just hate fishing in Stardew Valley so much. Where it's I never even asked the team to consider it. But yeah, these are things that we're going to start to think about as we're thinking about what are the core pieces of the game that we need to improve on? Like, do we go into like more breadth like this, or do we go deeper into like farm upgrades and customization? Like, do we work on farm automation, things like that? Like, is there deeper gameplay that we want to explore there? Do we want to go with breadth? Do we want to focus more on storytelling, narrative? Like, these are the things that are kind of up in the air right now that we're, going to start prioritizing and figuring out as soon as we have the right talent on the team for that.
Maybe you have a long lost friend.
Probably, man. Spent a lot of time there.
Okay. Oh, and this is just going back to the recent botting issue. So they're saying there was a huge exploit that should have been addressed within 48 hours, and this took 12 days.
Yeah, this is our bad. One thing that we need to do is we need to give community team a better way to shut off withdrawals if they see an exploit, and that's just something that we just prioritized again. It's funny because when we originally built out the tech stack, we built it in a way where we were supposed to be able to turn off blockchain stuff, and we do have that. We just forgot to give the community team that red button. So we're essentially giving community team access to a giant red button now, where if they see an issue, they can shut things off immediately. And that should help improve response times to things like this.
That just reminds me of if you guys are in Discord, there's a really common ban GIF of like a little guy like hitting a big red button being like ban. So it's that, guys. We're getting that.
Yeah, we need to make it so that it's not just like core dev team that has access to that. It's like, okay, if maybe somebody presses it by accident, we can just turn it back on really quickly. But it's like good to be responsive to that side of things and just be able to react really quickly. We also have just implemented some new automatic features as well to address some of the issues that we just saw. But yeah, we still need that option of like shut things down ASAP, solve the issue if like there is a giant exploit that we didn't expect. It's crazy stuff. It's kind of fun though.
It is. Okay, here's a good question. Where will we keep the pets? Will they require energy or pixel for quests? So we're not going to tell you too much about like the intricacies of like all of it right now, but where you keep the pet. So right now it's actually kind of just like a bit of a toggle thing where you can like choose which pet that you want to walk around with. And then they will require to be fed. But that's all I'm going to say right now.
Yeah, there's a happiness loop built around them. If you don't take care of them, people will see. They live in your wallet. They don't live in your in-game inventory. So note that. So if you trade them out of your wallet, they're gone. They work more like farmland in that sense. They'll be on chain. They'll be fully on chain, tradable on secondary markets, OpenSea, all of that.
Okay, and you guys have been asking so many questions today. It's been great, but we do have to wrap up soon. So I'm just gonna whip through some here. Any further info on potions? I don't know what you mean by this. We've never told any recipes for different potions, but I know there's some really great recipes floating around Discord. So if you want some insight, head over there.
People are going to need them pretty soon. The potions. Very, very soon.
Yeah. And then what about pet housing? So we don't have anything specific for pet housing at the moment. Like we said, kind of like a toggle view like thing.
Yeah, that might be something that we add. So the pets, like the first iteration that you see of them, they might change a little bit. Like all the metadata will stay the same, like the stats, all that kind of stuff. But how you interact with them, we might change. So like right now, there's just like some UI layers to interact with some of the stuff. But like right now, we don't have any pet housing. That might be something we add in the long run.
Okay. Other questions. Will there be awards for top 10 beach quests? No, guys. No, we didn't even. We literally just pulled that data out of like after the fact. That wasn't the point of the event. Wasn't to get to the top 10 to get something. It was just to like complete the quest, have a really fun day. And obviously we had the showcase event that we won, which is so exciting. So no, it was just more for fun, but you can find the top 10 in Discord. We've posted, I don't know, I think it's pinned actually. So you can see who is in the top 10. Okay, look at this. Total 180. They're on our side now. So much potential. We're so happy to have you here with us.
Do you know how many haters we've turned into like strong fans doing this? And it's like, yeah, showing up is really important. Like, I think we've started to build trust. Well, we have built like a strong trust in the community now of like just showing up. And this is not the easiest always, right? Like we've missed some dates. We've, had to pivot in some directions. But we're never going to miss these AMAs because we know how important it is to engage with all of you and how important it is to kind of update you on where we're at. Like, I hope everybody sees how hard we're trying. At
Oh,
the end of the
you
day.
can see the reflection of Luke's ring light in his window. Like that's the effort. Okay.
This is a good one.
Oh yeah, they've posted that so many times.
Luke, if you're reading this, it's me, Goose. I'm already tired. I work in a bar 24 hours a day. Everyone comes to me for wine and tasks and asks when the pixel is. I'm tired. I want to quit. Find the helper. Maybe we have a new quest line where Goose breaks.
Oh, Goose, I hope you're okay.
Goose
I'm
on loose.
so sorry. Goose on the loose. Yeah, see, I said that last week, didn't I? By accident. Yeah, maybe that's a whole other thing now. Okay. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, Luke, can you go to this farm and share your screen just to end this off?
Okay.
Although we're not encouraging this behavior. I did bring it up earlier though, so
Go into the Infinite Portal. Don't mind me. I'm rocking my Pixel Beast this week, actually.
yeah, did you change your name to Watermint?
Did I know?
Oh, well,
It's something-
there's someone on stage. Oh, I got kicked out of the game. Called Watermint.
4993.
Yep. Hopefully they weren't lying either, but this is the only person that responded. There you go. There was midnight. Yeah. There you go. Look at all of the tikis.
What?
We are not encouraging this behavior.
With this.
But oh my gosh. And then all the bubbles,
Actually, no.
bubbles so much.
Lots of bubbles too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right.
This year.
Oh my God. All right. Anyways, thank you all so much for so many great questions this week. And yeah, as we were finally able to let you all know, we have a big event coming. We're working really hard to get this all going. And I cannot wait for you guys to see it. So we will see you once again next week. And if we missed any of your questions, just throw them in Discord, ping the community team, Farm Hands, Luke, or I, and we'll get back to you. And yeah. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.